Hello and welcome to the Autophones Enhanced podcast. I'm the creator, Michael Gambacurta, and would like to thank you for coming along on this audio journey up, on, around, over, and inside the Kaiserlei Bridge. This is meant to accompany the radiophone sound installation and CD, Autophone, by Michael Gambacurta, Matthias S. Krüger, and Yuki Higashino. I'm going to expose some of the original sounds, material, and insight behind this work. The Kaiserlei Brücke takes up a section of the A661 federal highway between Frankfurt and Offenbach, Germany. I'd like to start our tour where most will feel quite safe and sound, the handrailing. It was here where I first noticed the life this structure had like night and day. I found a part where the casing overlaps, which allows for the metal to expand and contract with the weather. If you were to listen here, like I'm inadmissibly posing on your screen, you would be able to hear one of the two contrasting sounds, night and day. One of the most noticeable sounds to the naked ear is the traffic slamming over the expansion joints with at least 100 kilometers an hour. Listening with a contact microphone, I describe this as a lo-fi sound with its crackling, thumps, and low rumble. The day before the Autophones premiere, I coincidentally met a fellow bridge sound artist just down the river at the Holbeinsteg. Now I would like to welcome our special guest, the acclaimed singing bridges artist, Jodi Rose. Hi Jodi, thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure. I'm always happy to talk about bridges to another enthusiast.
So what do you do?
Basically what I do is I'm fascinated by the sound of bridges, and I hear the sounds particularly in the cables, so stay cabled or suspension bridges, the sound of the vibration inside the cables. I imagine that as being like the voice of the bridge or the spirit of the bridge. And so what I've been doing I started in 1994 and I've been really doing it full time for about 7 years, is I make recordings of mainly the cables in bridges, but also other parts of the structure like the pylons or the fence wires.
How many bridges have you worked on so far?
I meant to bring my list. I counted them the other day and it's 49, and I have another 25 on the top of my wish list of bridges.
Well, how do you listen to a bridge?
So I use contact microphones. I've used a variety of them. Mainly I just use shallow oyster piezo pickups. It's almost like it's taking the pulse of the bridge or the heartbeat.
What's so special about these microphones?
I mean, for me, I don't think that I can hear the same richness and depth of the sounds if I put my ear to the bridge. I can kind of hear very muffled and faint if there's something in there. But then once I put the contact microphones on, it's almost like a moment of transcendence where it takes you out of the ordinary world and it removes all of the ambient sound around you so that you're not distracted by the traffic. And you still hear the traffic, but you're hearing the traffic through the structure. So it's almost like it's the sounds that you're hearing are being mediated by the bridge, and the choices you make about where to focus on the bridge, of course, give you a whole different range of sounds. The idea of the bridge having a voice, I also hear the sort of the patterns and rhythms of the sounds as being, I think there are inherently musical qualities.
Yeah, your website, www.singingbridges.net, has a beautiful introduction revealing the bridge's metaphysical side.
I have, I guess, a fairly animist philosophy that everything in the universe has a spirit, and as John Cage would say, that spirit is released by the thing being set into vibration. There's a beautiful French philosopher, Matthias S, who writes about angels, and angels being kind of messengers that come to places of mass transit. I like the idea that the bridges is also a place of mass kind of transit and connection and communication, and that, angels can kind of drop in there and send us messages as well.
Just before we cross any bridges, let's step back a bit. Where did bridge music start?
Bill Fontana is the original bridge artist and was absolutely an inspiration when I heard about his work at art school. When I was in New York, I heard the piece that he had made for the Brooklyn Bridge. And this had the sounds of the traffic and the joins, and it had the atmospheric sounds. You could hear the sort of, the foghorns going under the bridge and this kind of thing. And he's now he made a gorgeous piece a couple of years ago at the Tate Modern called Harmonic Bridge, where he used accelerometers to mic up the Millennium Bridge, which is directly outside the Tate Modern, and had the sound playing live in the Turbine Hall and also, I think, at Waterloo Station just down the road.
So please tell me about your work. Where has this project brought you?
It's been interesting, actually. I mean, the project has always been fairly collaborative in that I've always needed other people to work with because I can't actually do everything myself. And so, like, working with the sound team from the ABC on the very first bridge, I guess, was an indication of that. And then I made a trip around the world in 2002 and had a list of places to go to and bridges to record. So I started in Vietnam, actually, in the Mekong Delta, with a bridge that had been built by Australian aid and was a kind of echo of the Anzac Bridge, which was the one I started with. And then I went to Rotterdam and recorded the Erasmus Bridge, and then to a small bridge in Helsinki because I just wanted to go to Finland. So I thought, I'm going to find a bridge there. And then the Novi Most in Bratislava, which I liked because it's got this kooky UFO on top of the pylon, which is actually now a bar called the UFO Bar. Connecting with people changes the way that I work, and I really love that and value it. And hopefully I give something to people as well when they come and play on a bridge with me.
Well, does the Kaiserlei Bridge look familiar?
The Kaiserlei Bridge is a lot like, well, it's similar to the Bach Philippe de Roda Bridge in Barcelona, which is designed by Santiago Calatrava, who is my all-time favourite bridge architect. He sees like the poetry in bridges so beautifully, and he has these really kind of almost skeletal designs for the structures. There's one called the Alamillo Bridge in Seville, which looks like a harp, like really just like an L shape with the cables stringing between them. And the one in Barcelona looks a lot like this. It's actually two bridges next to each other of the same design. And the sound in it, though, it had this resonance. It reminded me of a Spanish guitar, like a Spanish classical guitar. It was quite beautiful. There is always some kind of connection between different bridges. Like the Indrapilli Bridge in Brisbane, which I recorded for the ABC piece, was based on the Florianopolis Bridge in Brazil. It's interesting, you can just take one bridge and it actually opens out all these connections to different places, as well as reframing, I guess, the local environment. And, I think it's Heidegger who says that the bridge connects many places variously near and far from the bridge.
Wow, thanks a lot. I hope we'll be able to play bridge in the future.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's been really lovely chatting. It's great. Thank you.